This is the Alpicool cooler. This is listed as the 16, although it is a 15-quart cooler. I purchased this as a portable cooling system. So this is a miniature refrigerator freezer. So this has its own condenser and can actually cool things. So it's not like a cooler that you would get to go to the beach and you fill it with ice. This is the thing that can make the ice so that you don't have the mess of water. This runs on a DC 12 or 24 volt. It comes with a wall plug for standard 110, 120 US wall outlets. And it has this beautiful little miniature display. Now, this is a very cheap, and I'm sure many folks will comment this is cheap Chinese, and probably, yes, it is. However, my options at the time were this and the Dometic. I wanted the Dometic CFX 28, and for Memorial Day, Dometic did a 20% off sale. However, during the several weeks previous to that, they had jacked up the prices on their products. I believe it was around 50 or 60% in the last few months. So the CFX 28, which used to be $600 United States dollar, has gone up to, or at that time was at $800 USD. And a number of their other products had gone up similarly. So this was $200 on Amazon. And obviously the volume is quite significantly smaller, but from a technology standpoint, it's relatively speaking the same thing. You're paying for mostly the condenser and the functionality of running that, and then the inversion to DC AC so that you can run the whole system constantly out of your vehicle. So for me, this is going to be plenty enough space. I just put a water bottle in here for my freezer just to show space. It is actually very shallow. That is one thing to note. Obviously, the CFX wouldn't have this problem, but this is also very small and very portable. This is a standard, I believe, 20-ounce water bottle, or 16.9-ounce water bottle. And if it is standing, the lid of this hits it and it won't shut. So if you're looking for something that has much more depth for larger items, yeah, obviously get a bigger refrigerator. For me, this is actually part of a hurricane evacuation preparedness. I make all of my own dog's food, and I have to be able to refrigerate it for keeping it for a long time. And last year we had to evacuate for over 10 days, and I had to stay in a hotel and use their grill to make dog food and then store it in their little mini refrigerator. And I thought, wow, would it be way easier to be able to do that myself and carry it with me. So then, again, I was shopping between the Dometic and what other brands were available. This brand had actually really good reviews, fairly similar to that of the Dometics, but this, even at the recent price drop of the Dometic, which put it down a little over $700, this at $200 is still just so much cheaper. It would be foolish not to just use this unit for my own personal application. Again, the volume of it is smaller, so it does not offer as much capacity as the Dometic, but from a functionality standpoint, they are nearly the same device. I'm gonna obviously put this thing through some rigorous testing. I beat on every toy that I own, and I'll obviously do some kind of scientific testing to see ambient temperatures inside the vehicle and what they do relative to the amperage that it uses, and also what it can do in keeping things cold in extreme hot environments. I take this out, my Jeep out to the beach very regularly on days when it's over 100 degrees and I need to have something that can stay cool. So now that I've rambled on a while and told you all the goods and bads, this is the AC plug inverter here. And this thing is what you just plug that into here and then into your wall. Boom. And then it comes with an extremely long extension cord with a DC receptacle. These are something I would really advise knowing your vehicle's wiring before you plug this in. This will fry your computer. If it draws too much amperage through these thicker gauge wires than what that outlet was intended to draw, it's typically fused, but a lot of times that can be problematic. Another thing to be cautious of, because I don't know this device or what kind of load management it has, but I assume that if you're running your vehicle with this plugged into your DC system, it's going to be getting what I would consider dirty signal of electricity, where it's going to have high peaks and valleys to the voltage because of your ignition system's interference with your electrical system. So I'm also going to test that. I'm actually going to be testing that pretty rigorously, as I plan to build a very extensive solar and battery backup system on my vehicle as well that will run this. So it will have smoothed it out, but I do want to have a backup that my vehicle can charge that system. So this is that moment that I'm sure everyone loves to see. It's the Unbox Therapies wonderful, just peel it away. Okay, that wasn't that exciting, but I'm gonna put this down, I'm gonna plug it in, see how it operates, and then I'm gonna throw it in the back of the Jeep so you can get a relative size comparison of how big this thing is. I did bring a tape measure over. It obviously has the dimensions listed on Amazon, but just so you can see, to the top of the device is about 10 inches tall. And the length of this device is about 22 inches long. So it's not that big. And then the depth relative to my position is about 12 inches. So it's a pretty small unit, but it does have a lot of space for the size. The compressor and all the electronics are in this very small compartment over here. So let's set it up, test it out, and see how this goes. So as a little test here, I grabbed out of the pantry some pepper jelly that's not refrigerated, but it was in the house. So it's reading about 77 degrees out here in the warm garage. The garage for relative temperature is about 90 degrees or 89 degrees. But yeah, somewhere around there. So what do you got? 10 degree delta between the two of these. This I'm going to put inside the refrigerator, and oops, I can open it without throwing it around. I will say that lid is very tight. It does not want to pop open that easily, so you'll have to kind of grab it. And the lid itself actually pops out. You can lift it up and out of the device, so it's nice that it is removable, so making it a little easier to clean. And you can barely hear this thing. This is on high, but this is the noise that it makes. I'm putting the phone, which I'm recording this with, right next to it so you can hear it. It's very quiet. I have the temperature set to 30 degrees Celsius, and I am going to drop this as low as it'll go, or it's at 30 degrees Celsius, I'm sorry, and I'll set it to whatever. It thinks it can go down to negative 18 Celsius, so it's already dropped 2 degrees. We'll see how far this thing will go. I will do a temperature test. Actually, I'll read out the temperature on the inside already and see what we're at. So that's 80 degrees. So it's already actually 10 degrees cooler inside there than it is, or 8 degrees cooler than it is in the garage itself. So it's already working. I will let it continue to do this, and I will pick this back up with a very continued unscientific study. Also, I've noticed too, for all those folks who are weird about decals, because I'm not a big fan of advertising for other people, this actually peels off, so I'm going to peel off their logo. But I'm going to make sure it works first, so that if I have to return it, I haven't defaced it. But I'm going to run it for a few days here, test it all out, get it all acclimated to my needs and situation, and report back as to how well it works. So it's down to negative 3 Celsius. And let's take a look inside at what we got going. So there is, oh, I can feel the cold air. So that container is already 55 degrees. And the inside of the box is about 44. It's reading 41 on the sides. And up on the very back there, so there must be some coils over there. That's about 18, 17 degrees. So this is really cold. It does seem to be working really well. It's actually really humid out, and you can see it instantly forming dew and then crystallizing on the surface here. So it is actually really cold, and it's already got frost on the side. So working well. I'm gonna throw it in the Jeep and see what we've got for size in that space. So I have the top Mopar bag in there right now, so it's obviously a little tighter in space, but I would love to build a little platform so it can sit over here. So if anyone else is planning on getting this, it actually tucks really well into that compartment there. You'd have to build something to kind of lift it up and over these seats. I obviously have a decking system that I've built on mine, but this space is really nice for it because you can still open it all the way up. And if you were still sleeping in your vehicle, this would give you a ton of room if you were just one person. Two people would be really tight, but you could pull this out and move it into the front compartment, which is what I intend to do. So it'll probably have a home semi-permanently fixed here for moving and driving around. That will give it enough ventilation. DC ports right here, and this is actually where all my wiring comes in for my Wi-Fi router, the lights over the tailgate, and the pump sink in the tailgate as well. So I already have my wiring there. The spot seemed to work really well for it. But the cooler also has these little handles. They don't stick out far enough to really affect much, but that is something to note when you're looking at the dimensions of the cooler. They do stick out a bit. But even just in the back of your Jeep, it's very small. So if that's pushed all the way against the subwoofer, you still have a good 1.5 feet, 16 inches or 18 inches on the side of it. So that is the Alpicool 16-ounce refrigerator for your vehicle. It's fantastic. I hope to try it out and abuse it hard enough to see what it can do for me on the trails and making my dogs happy. So let me know what you think in the comments below. If you have any questions or suggestions about the product at all, feel free to reach out. And yeah, I would definitely recommend this over Dometic unless this has some serious fatal flaws of its workmanship. I think that this product is by a dollar value much greater, because even if you bought 3 of these, it would still be cheaper than one Dometic.